Thank you so much, Mark. Yes, indeed, it does go back to that map, doesn't it? Thank you. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce a very good friend of mine, Pastor Mario Bramnick. I first had the pleasure of meeting him last year, 2013, in Congress in DC. Mario Bramnick is the Vice President and Chief Liaison for Israel and Middle East Policy, and also for the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference. Pastor, the floor is yours.
Thank you so much. It is really an honor to be here with such a distinguished panel, with Ambassador Prozer, Brigitte, Mark, and Ambassador Otto. Thank you so much for hosting this event. And Ugoji mentioned that this is a historic meeting, that there has never been a meeting on anti-Semitism like this in the halls of the United Nations. Therefore, this is the first time in a very long time that the truth is being spoken from the halls of the United Nations with the approval of the delegates in attendance. The meeting is a strategic meeting. This meeting was placed by God in Ugoji's heart before Operation Protective Edge, before this sudden surge in anti-Semitism, because I tell you, the Bible says when the enemy comes in like a flood, the Lord raises up a standard. God has an answer before the problem arises. We are seeing a surge in anti-Semitism that has not been seen since before World War II. And here we are 3 days before the 13th anniversary of 9/11. And lastly, from, I said strategic, biblically I would say a prophetic moment. We are 2 weeks away from the feast of Rosh Hashanah. The biblical term for that is Yom Teruah, which means the day of the sounding of the shofar. The shofar was sounded in biblical times to muster the people together in one place to celebrate a feast. The shofar was sounded to warn of impending war and to warn of judgment. It is time, ladies and gentlemen, Christian, Jewish people, Arab Christians together, we must sound the shofar in America and through the halls of the United Nations. Muslim, Islamic, may I speak truthfully without political correctness and political expediency? You see, the problem in 1938, nobody spoke. The silence was deafening. If there's two things that we take from the Holocaust, is never again, and we must not remain silent. Therefore, in a non-political correct way, Islamic, Muslim radicals with right-wing extremists, neo-Nazi skinheads, and leftist extremists are making strange bedfellows for the eradication of Israel and the Jewish people. According to Yaakov Hagoel, World Zionist Organization Department of Countering Anti-Semitism, the ongoing incitement against Israel, the joining of various quote-unquote human rights groups with pro-Arab organizations and neo-Nazi institutions are translated into angry mobs of anti-Semitic incidences of Israeli flag burning, Jewish shops being torched, Jewish people being beaten, synagogues bombed and looted, undermining the security of hundreds of thousands of Jewish people around the world. Mr. Hagoel said it is 2014, and it seems as though we are living on the eve of another Holocaust. If there was ever a time to sound the shofar and sound the alarm, it is now. Anti-Israel rhetoric by governments and international institutions are in fact fueling this new wave of anti-Semitism. And having delegates or appointing chiefs to study anti-Semitism, but yet coming unjustly against the nation of Israel is not going to suffice. Anti-Semitism is found, unfortunately, for many years in the halls of the institution in which we are gathering in today. Those who visit the UN will see Israel falsely singled out and accused of apartheid, war crimes, genocide, racism, murder, ethnic cleansing. They will witness portrayal of Israel as a baby killer, hear the use of modern blood libels against Israel, anti-Semitic tactics tracing thousands of years. They will hear the denial of the Jewish biblical and historical connection to the land that God himself gave to the descendants of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob by calling the Jew an illegitimate occupier in biblical heartland of Jerusalem, Judea. I've got news for the United Nations that God himself, by a warranty deed thousands of years ago, gave the land of Israel with Judea, Samaria, and an undivided Jerusalem as the capital of the Jewish nation to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob as an eternal covenant. Therefore, I'm also an attorney. There's a couple of attorneys on the dais. I read the warranty deed. It was fully notarized and signed by sufficient witnesses. And if God gave an eternal covenant, no man, no nation, no president, no king can repudiate it. We can no longer allow the institutionalization of international anti-Semitism directed against the Jewish state and the demonization of Israel with the aim of expelling it from the international community. We must call evil, evil, and no longer hide behind political correctness and political expediency. There are certain irrefutable laws in nature. Whether I believe it or accept it or not, it doesn't matter. The consequences are still the same. I can argue against the law of gravity, but if I jump off of a 5-story building, the consequences will be there. And the nations and ambassadors and kings and prime ministers and presidents can come against Israel. But I'm here from the United Nations to declare that every single nation historically that has come against Israel has in fact been judged by God, because God blesses those who bless Israel and curses those who curse Israel. On behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership and hundreds of millions of Christians, we stand today to deliver a message of solidarity to Israel and the Jewish people in the face of this new wave of anti-Semitism, bigotry, and evil. On behalf of millions of evangelical Christians around the world, we are here with you to stand and to stay united with Israel and the Jewish people. As Esther, she was brought to the kingdom for such a time as this. The church in America has been brought as an Esther to stand with the nation of Israel. And it might not be easy. Esther had a decision to make, and Mordecai said, listen, if you don't come, God will send a deliverer from another source. And she said, if I perish, but I will come against Haman's. And I'm here to tell you, there are many modern-day Hamans. There are modern-day Hamans rising in the Middle East. There are modern-day Hamans rising in Europe. And there's unfortunately modern-day Hamans rising in the United States of America. But it's time for the Esthers and Mordechais to arise, that we have been called now to the kingdom for such a time as this. One of the keys in combating anti-Semitism is establishment of religious and ethnic coalitions. On behalf of the National Hispanic Christian Leadership Conference, we have been establishing such coalitions to establish bonds, to educate, to combat anti-Semitism, and the campaign to delegitimize the nation of Israel. We started a Latino Jewish roundtable and had a meeting, our second, in the Israeli embassy. We are co-hosting this initiative with the Congress of Jewish Presidents, Jewish Federation of North America, and AIPAC for pro-Israel advocacy, initiatives to combat anti-Semitism and the delegitimization. We have pro-Israel events, Christian and Jewish events, Christians United for Israel. Dr. John Hagee is doing a phenomenal job. There are many Christians who love and support Israel. And these alliances are standing together that the world may know that Israel and the Jewish people are not alone, that we will not remain silent in the face of anti-Semitism and anti-Israel vitriol, that Israel, the nation and the people, live now and forevermore. We are living in critical times, as was explained by Mark and Brigitte, with the rise of Islamic Caliphate, global rise of anti-Semitism, international global move to delegitimize Israel, not Syria, not Iran, but Israel from the Commonwealth of Nations, and seconds away from a nuclear Iran still bent on Israel's complete destruction. The world community is turning against Israel. It is unfortunately 1938 all over again. And it is time to arise. If we lose Israel to Islamic radicals, London, Paris, New York will be next. The future of Western democracy and our national destiny depends on Israel, and critical times require critical alliances. In closing, one last prophetic, strategic time. We are in the Jewish month of Elul, which is a time that the shofar is sounded every day until Yom Teruah, the day of the blowing of the shofar. And I don't think we have a shofar here, but with our voice and with the truth, we are sounding the alarm in these halls to the leadership of the nations, to the ambassadors, to the leadership of our nation here in the United States of America. It is time to arise and have mercy on Zion. It is time to awaken. It is time to speak the truth. And it is time to lift up our voices. The Bible says, He, God, who keeps Israel, neither slumbers or sleeps. God is not moved. He understands all of the world events, but He is looking for Esther's and Mordechai's and Daniel's and Joseph's to arise for such a time as this. God bless you, God bless Israel, and God bless the United States of America.